Chris, thank you, and welcome to the O-Dome, the O'Connell Center here in Gainesville, Florida, where the Florida Gators, having a tough season this year, are hoping to pull off a significant upset if they can, and maybe, just maybe, hand Kentucky its first loss of the season. Welcome to Saturday Primetime, presented by DirecTV. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. You know what's at stake here tonight. You know who's in town here in Gainesville. As you can see, they are fired up here at the O-Dome. #1 and undefeated Kentucky taking on the Florida Gators. The Wildcats 22-0, 9-0 in conference play. Florida right now 12-10, just 5-4 so far in the SEC. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Gainesville. Dan Shulman, Jay Billis, Shannon Spake will join us in a moment. We're comfortably into February right now. They're still undefeated.
They are still undefeated. One of the more compelling stories in college basketball that I can remember, Dan. This is a historically great defensive team that Kentucky has. They're holding their opponents to 33% from the field. That's the best in college basketball in the last 35 years, but they're coming into a place that is rocking where they have not had a ton of success over the last few years.
That's right. Remember, Florida, granted, very different Florida Gator team, but the Gators beat Kentucky 3 times in as many attempts last year. With more, here's Shannon.
That's right, Dan. What a difference one season makes. As you mentioned, Florida Gators beating Kentucky 3 times last season. Also, at this time last year, the Gators, well, they were on their way to the top spot in the nation. Willie Cauley-Stein told me today he's absolutely heard the word revenge from some of his teammates this week. And Andrew Harrison told me he took those 3 losses to Florida last year. He took them personally. He doesn't want it to happen again. And he knows despite the struggles that Florida has had this year, here at the O-Dome with these fans, Florida is here to play.
All right, Shannon, thank you. Remember, Kentucky's had 2 games that have gone to overtime in the conference play. One of them was a double overtime win, so they have been pushed on occasion this year. The question is, can Florida mount a challenge tonight? The starting lineup tonight for the Wildcats, who are, as you know, are without Alex Poitras for the rest of the season, without Trey Lyles again tonight, out with an illness again. Dominique Hawkins will start along with the twins, Karl Anthony Towns and Willie Cauley-Stein. For the Gators, Billy Donovan has used 10 different starters and 10 different starting lineups. This is a lineup he's been looking at recently. Casey Hill, Eli Carter, Michael Frazier in the backcourt, Dorian Finney-Smith, and the 5th-year senior John Horford starting in the middle for Billy Donovan, looking for a career win number 499. He's the longest tenured coach in the SEC. 2 national championships in the last 4 years, a Final Four and 3 Elite Eights. That's pretty remarkable.
A remarkable basketball coach. 2 remarkable coaches that'll be in the Naismith Hall of Fame someday.
Incredible record for John Calipari, including a national championship at Kentucky, a runner-up last year, the loss to Connecticut, and obviously having a heck of a season, to say the least, so far this year. Doug Shouse, Pat Adams, Lee Cassell are our officials. And we are underway tonight here in Gainesville with Kentucky getting the first look of the night.
Florida starts off in man-to-man. Kentucky, Dan, has had 8 different leading scorers in a game this season. Remarkable balance.
And Andrew Harrison dribbled it into a double team, and the possession arrow will give it to Florida. Let's take a look at tonight's Sonic Showdown. As Jay mentioned, 2 Hall of Famers, or 2 coaches who figure to be Hall of Famers before it's all said and done. 3 national championships between them. And this has been, in spite of the fact Florida's struggling this year, this has been, Jay, I'm sure you'd agree, the headline rivalry in the SEC over the last number of years. And as we mentioned, the Gators won all 3 matchups last year, including a 1-point win in the SEC championship game. Dorian Finney-Smith misses the jam, and back come the Cats.
So Florida handles the double team, gets a look right at the basket to dunk it. But Kentucky challenges at the rim and forced to miss.
And now hard to hear a whistle as we've got a foul going against Florida. That's going to go on John Horford as we get another look at the missed dunk at the other end.
Well, a terrific job to handle. It was essentially a double team because Dominique Hawkins got caught on a switch and got posted up, and that's what Florida's going to try to do. They're going to try to take advantage of switches when they can.
Horford guarding Towns. Finney Smith guarding Cauley-Stein. A hyphenated matchup at the forward spot, and it's Cauley-Stein who breaks the ice.
Little horn set, and they're always looking to get the ball inside. Finney Smith did about as good a job as you can do when you're undersized. He forced Willie Cauley-Stein to shoot over him.
This is Casey Hill, sophomore point guard, trying to take advantage of the mismatch with Towns. And then another Florida foul. Is that Horford again? He just picked up his second, a minute and a half into the game. And John Horford has to go to the bench as Chris Walker will take his place.
Well, Kentucky will switch quite a bit. And Florida has had a couple of opportunities to score at the rim. They've not taken advantage of it. And Andrew Harrison had a terrific blockout on a rotation rebound.
And a 5-second call.
Florida likes to press. And if you are not fully prepared and present yourself as a receiver, they can turn you over. And that's what they're going to have to do to get extra possessions.
And they'll need to make shots, and that's the guy who can make them. Michael Frazier knocking down the three.
When Florida puts the press on, Kentucky is going to want to beat this pressure to score. Otherwise, you're going to have to grind it out 5-on-5 all game long. And Kentucky plays 3 around 2. They want to get the ball into the post. That's a foul. It's not close.
And Chris Walker just got called for one. So Horford's got 2, Walker's got 1 less than 2 minutes into the game.
Out of bounds underneath is a great opportunity for Florida. Michael Frazier just comes off a staggered screen. Chris Walker able to pick off Aaron Harrison. And Frazier got the wide open look. When he gets started early, he can have a big game. At 27 earlier against Ole Miss, excuse me. Yeah, he can score when he gets started.
I had 11 threes in a game last year, 37 points against South Carolina. Towns trying to muscle his way inside. Hawkins for 3. And a great rebound by Towns. Now Walker down with it for Florida.
Well, what a rebound with the left hand by Karl Anthony Towns. There's a switch, and that's where Casey Hill has got to take advantage of that. How many 7-footers like Willie Cauley-Stein could switch up a ball screen, take a point guard?
Well, as you said when we talked about it last week, we're looking at him. He is the list of 7-footers who can defend 1 through 5 to the level that he can. And that's why a lot of people, yourself included, averaging 8.5 points per game. But a lot of people think he should be in the conversation for National Player of the Year.
Well, certainly National Defensive Player of the Year. I think he's the leading candidate, and unfortunately he's not going to have the competition from VCU's Briante Weber's out for the season with a torn ACL.
Finney Smith got it. A couple of early threes for the Gators. There is no hearing yourself think in this building right now. It's got to be hand signals and unspoken communication for the Wildcats at the offensive end.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Aaron Harrison has it knocked out of bounds as he was surrounded by a trio of defenders. And never mind the 2 3-pointers they made, which are obviously hugely important. But the intensity Florida has shown at the defensive end is impressive.
Well, they've come out ready for a fist fight, and that's what they have to make this game in order to win it. It's got to be 5-on-5 in the half court and a fight.
And there's the jump hook for Karl Anthony Towns, his go-to move.
Every time that Kentucky has the ball, they want to get a post touch. They want to get it inside, and Towns is doing a great job of posting strong. And Casey Hill drops off, and he's trying to go steal the ball, but he just goes up and fouls. He's got to get there earlier. And I thought it was Casey Hill that got him from the back end.
And they do give the foul to Hill, his first. Billy Donovan needs big minutes out of Chris Walker tonight, with Horford sitting down with 2. And Walker has been enigmatic to say the least. A lot of talent, but the production hasn't been there. He's only played 9 minutes each of the last 2 games. Billy Donovan's going to need him for a lot more than that tonight.
Well, what he's got to do is, Dan, is defend and rebound. He doesn't need to score in this one.
Hill gets the bounce off the window. Florida by 3.
That's Casey Hill's game, is to put it on the deck. He is not a shooter. He is a driver, and you have to play him as one.
The Harrison twins combine to get it over. Andrew coming off a great game against Georgia on Tuesday, 23.7 assists. His brother Aaron got nothing. Didn't make a shot. Made just one free throw. Didn't make a field goal. And now an offensive foul away from the ball is the call against Towns.
Well, one referee blew the whistle. The other referee came in and told him what the call was.
Sorry, Cauley-Stein. Give the foul to Cauley-Stein. The way that Towns reacted, I thought it was on him. And now John Calipari will make his first mass substitution of the night.
Well, with Devin Booker in the ball game, they've got a player that is shooting 59% from three over his last 12 games. 4 times in a row, he's been the SEC Rookie of the Week. It's been a pretty good month.
Aaron Harrison stays. 4 new players come in, including Dakari Johnson, who brings down the rebound. You mentioned Booker, Marcus Lee, and Tyler Ulis at the point.
Ulis, an excellent passer and very good with the ball. Very low error rate. He does not turn it over. Here goes Kentucky out of this horn set.
2-man game. Lee walks. Yep. There's Aaron Harrison. Good defense by Finney Smith. Walker trying to go the distance, and he draws the foul. What a start here in Gainesville. The Gators are pumped up. The building is pumped up. And Florida's got an early lead on number 1.
We got a back alley brawl right now. The pick and pop for Dorian Finney-Smith. He's going to be looking to drive that. Talking about drivers, Casey Hill over the long arms of Kentucky.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
The last time a Kentucky team started a season with as long an unbeaten streak as they've had this year, Pat Riley, Louis Dampier, members of the 65-66 Wildcats, who started 23-0. Let's visit him with Shannon again.
Well, Dan, Willie Cauley-Stein said playing here at the O-Dome, it's claustrophobic. And one of the reasons is because of how close the fans are to the bench. You look down here, most SEC schools have at least 3 feet of unobstructed space off the court. And this is a 12-inch ruler. You can see there's definitely not 3 feet of space. The fans are literally right on top of these players. And Willie Cauley-Stein said while the student section on one side, they can be really rowdy, it's actually these fans that get after them. He didn't say get after him. He used another word, but I'm sticking with that.
And probably a wise choice on your part. Yeah, there is something claustrophobic about this building. I don't know if it's that the fans are elevated a few feet above the benches and above us over on this side here, but they are right on top of you. And boy, the fans have certainly brought their A game, and so have the Gators here in the early going.
And that can be really difficult for an opponent because you're not used to everything being right on top of you. You know, the scorer's table is so close to the court. Florida's used to it. I mean, they play here all the time. Kentucky's not used to it, especially the freshmen who've never played here before. And it's, you know what, Dan, it showed early on in this game because Kentucky's already turned it over 3 times. You don't feel like you have any room, so all of a sudden you feel like you got Florida guarding you, and then you're up against a wall. It's like playing on a racquetball court.
Chris Walker, 41% free throw shooter, misses them both.
This is where Kentucky needs to get down the floor and play fast, but Florida did a nice job of getting back in transition and showing 5 white jerseys to Kentucky.
Billy Donovan really got on his team this week. They lost at Vanderbilt earlier in the week. Vanderbilt having a tough season, but Florida did not play well. They were down 15-0 in that game, and Coach Donovan has really given it to his team. And so far, they have responded. Devin Robinson, the freshman from Chesterfield, Virginia. Devin Booker at the other end with the answer for Kentucky.
Well, that's what Kentucky needs to do, is get out and play ahead of Florida's defense where they can get some easy baskets. I don't think either team wants to play 5-on-5 in the half court all game long. But Florida's been getting to the rim a lot easier than Kentucky would like. That drive by Devin Robinson a possession ago got him all the way to the rim easily.
Jay's second foul on Chris Walker. He goes to the bench. John Horford, who was getting ready to check back in even before that foul, he's got 2 as he comes back in.
And those are the fouls, Dan, that Billy Donovan can't have, where it's an illegal screen. All you got to do is set yourself and let the offense use it. You want to waste your fouls on the defensive end, not on the offensive end.
Well, even with their biggest guys in there, Florida's given up size, and now their 2 biggest guys each have 2 fouls. Alex Murphy, transfer from Duke, is also into the game. Booker misses the jumper. Horford battling for the rebound.
Well, you can really do a good job of getting out and guarding this action on the perimeter. They play 3 around 2, and Florida's done a nice job because there's a lot of, it's a clogged lane. You got 2 big guys and their defenders always around the bucket.
Robinson misses the runner. Here comes Booker. Andrew Harrison, who John Calipari says he is always pushing to be more aggressive.
They need to look into Dakari Johnson. He's got Horford on him, and Horford's trying to be physical.
And a travel to call on Johnson. 4th turnover committed by Kentucky as Frazier returns for the Gators, and we'll also get a look at freshman point guard Chris Chiozza out of Memphis.
I thought Dakari Johnson could have turned over his left shoulder and gone right off the window there instead of trying to go into the middle, where he wound up turning it over.
And now Devin Robinson has left the Florida bench and is walking back in the direction of the locker room. See if we can get an update on that.
Ulis is doing a nice job on Chiozza.
Frazier. And it will stay with Florida.
And Michael Frazier is the one guy you have got to stay all over. He's being guarded by Devin Booker. And they do a fair amount of switching. But Frazier's the guy that can go off on you.
Robinson, by the way, is back with a new pair of shoes. He's changing his shoes on the bench right now, so no injury. And there's Alex Murphy called for the offensive foul.
Murphy just needs to, and those are very nice. Impressive shoe game by Devin Robinson.
So there will be 2 pairs of game-worn shoes, courtesy of Devin Robinson and I.
Here you better lace them up a little tighter. Go with the high tops. Can't go 3/4 in this game. This is a high top game.
Kentucky, the only undefeated team in men's college basketball. They are 22-0, 9-0 in SEC play. They will finish the regular season at home against Florida.
There's that slice stagger action. And then a high ball screen by Dakari Johnson. He needs to roll down into the post.
Ulis got the switch. He finds Booker. And right back to him as the shot clock down to 10. Pass deflected away. Frazier. Chiozza lays it in. And the lead grows to 5 for the Gators.
Here's the post-to-post double.
Good aggressive double there by Murphy. And Booker was wide open on the weak side, but they couldn't get it to him.
Well, they are just driving it right into trouble.
Good adjustment there by Booker. Not just a catch-and-shoot score.
Not at all. But Eli Carter made a huge mistake there. You've got to stay between your man and the basket when he picks up his dribble. You can't let a guy pivot right to the basket like that.
Frazier's hit 1 3. Draws the foul and will head to the free throw line. Andrew Harrison called for the foul.
Florida has been all over the place on defense. Chiozza doing a nice job getting the deflection, then gets the run out. And a nice job to use both feet there. Instead of going off of 1 foot to open yourself up for a block shot, he came to a jump stop where he could have shot fake, but he went up with it and went up with a chance to get fouled, but also to get fouled and complete the play.
Let's check it again with Shannon.
Well, Dan, at practice yesterday for the Florida Gators, the first thing that stood out to me was how aggressive, how much fire they were practicing with. It was something I hadn't seen in a couple weeks of covering this team. You heard Billy Donovan say many times, be the aggressor. He said, we have to come into this game with a hit-first mentality. It is going to be tough. It is going to be physical, but you have got to hit first.
He took their practice jerseys away, Jay, a couple of days ago practicing. They didn't deserve to wear them. He really doesn't want them to feel a sense of entitlement about everything. He wants to see a hunger and a fire from his team, and he's seen it so far tonight.
Well, I think a lot of coaches at programs that have tradition that have been very successful will do that with their teams and say, look, this team hasn't accomplished anything. All the banners that have been put up here have been put up by other teams, and you've got to earn them. You got to earn these nice facilities, all the nice gear, all that stuff. And they've responded. This has been a great start for Florida.
Turnover number 6 for Kentucky. Murphy the save. They had a layup, had the pass been a little bit better. Frazier, tough one. Yes!
Dan, Frazier is one of those players that if you let him get started, he can go crazy on you. That's why getting on him to start, and Kentucky has let him get started in this one, and he feels good about himself right now.
Booker, air ball. Florida pushing again.
He's wide open.
Chioza with a shot fake. The kick. Murphy. Followed by Finney Smith. Eulis tries to throw a lob to Towns, and Towns over a double team to quiet the crowd.
You know, Dan, I think Kentucky came into this game expecting to play a team that's 12-10, and they're not getting that right now. This is not a 12-10 Florida team.
They were ranked 7th in the nation, Florida was preseason. They've had some tough, close losses. But boy, are they in need of a signature win, and nothing would get you a signature win like knocking off number 1. Eli Carter.
Florida is getting switches, and they are handling those switches well. Willie Cauley-Stein on Eli Carter, transferred in from Rutgers. A scorer who is totally unafraid. That was a great shot fake. How about this atmosphere?
It's unbelievable.
It's like a gladiator pit.
Eulis in and out on the 3. It'll be Kentucky ball when we come back. Exactly at the midway point of the first half, and Jay, the Gators are bringing everything they've got so far tonight.
Well, Florida is playing defense, and now they've got Kentucky on a string. They are driving it. There's rotation, rebounding. They're getting to the offensive glass. They shot fake, and Kentucky is flying by.
Tonight's game is part of ESPN's Journey to the Tourney, presented by Sonic, a season-long spotlight on games that will impact the tournament. The dominant story in college basketball this year has been the Kentucky Wildcats, the lone remaining men's undefeated team. The last time that happened going into the NCAA tournament, just last year when Wichita State with a 1 seed was beaten by an 8 seed. That 8 seed was Kentucky. The last time a team reached the national championship game undefeated, they rebirthed in Indiana State in 1979, of course losing to Magic Johnson and Michigan State. And the last time a team ran the table, Bobby Knight's Indiana Hoosiers back in 1976. There have been great teams. Remember the UNLV team in 1991 lost to Duke. You were on the coaching staff that year in the national semifinals. This team certainly has what it takes to potentially achieve that goal. But boy, are they getting a battle here tonight.
Well, and you have to expect that. I mean, they're going to get everybody's best shot, and they are certainly getting Florida's right now. The question is, can the Gators keep this up for 40 minutes? And right now, Florida's shooting over 60% from the field. Kentucky has turned it over 6 times. That's led to 7 points for Florida. And Michael Frazier and Dorian Finney-Smith, the 2 top scorers for Florida, have gotten off to good starts. Right away, Jacob Kurtz fouls Karl Anthony Towns. That's just overly aggressive when Towns wasn't going to get the ball right there.
And right now, Walker's on the bench, Horford's on the bench, Murphy's on the bench. This is about as small as Florida can go. Finney-Smith at 6'7", and Kurtz at 6'6", a former manager who's now a 5th-year senior as a walk-on. But boy, they've given up a ton of size on the inside.
And now Kentucky in the 1-1, the bonus for the remainder of the first half. And it's going to, without Trey Lyles, the freshman from Indianapolis, in the lineup, he's been out with an illness. Kentucky in the last 2 games has been out rebounding. So rebounds are available. Dorian Finney-Smith has already gotten a tip in. But the smaller you get, the tougher that's going to be.
And boy, whoever it is, whether it's Finney Smith or Kurtz, Billy Donovan, it's a tough job. He is handed to one of those two guys to try to defend Karl Anthony Towns on the inside.
Florida's got to put these big guys from Kentucky in ball screens. Look, he's got a switch already. He got Hill on Karl Anthony Towns on Hill. He's got to drive that.
Hill and Chiosa in there together right now.
The ball movement really good for Florida.
We saw them working on that a lot at shoot around today. The drive by Hill rejected.
Karl Anthony Towns, the top shot blocker for this Kentucky team, basically came out of the short corner to block that with his right hand. What a play.
And Kentucky second in the nation in blocks, better than 7 per game.
They got to look to Towns. He's got Kurtz on him inside. He's got to get down in the low post.
Aaron Harrison with a mid-range jumper. 5-point game.
Aaron Harrison made so many big shots last year for this Kentucky team. He has got 37 threes coming into this game. He's not shot the ball as well as he's capable.
Finney Smith driving Booker. Off balance and draws the foul.
Got another switch when Willie Cauley-Stein went on to Michael Frazier, and that left Booker on Dorian Finney-Smith. And he's a terrific athlete, but he always wants to drive to his right. And Booker's got to sit on that right hand and make him go to his left.
Big Monday presented by Verizon, 7 Eastern. Jaleel Okafor and Duke taking on Florida State. The Blue Devils coming off a 30-point win over the Irish today. And then the second game, a good one out of the Big 12. Iowa State and Oklahoma, both of them victorious today. Iowa State easily over Texas Tech, and Oklahoma winning on the road at TCU.
Well, Duke was absolutely on fire today against Notre Dame. You can see Mike Brave over on the Notre Dame bench shaking his head. There was almost nothing they could do.
What did you say? It was a 43-7 run in the first half of the
43-7. Would have been 43-10, but Notre Dame missed an open 3.
6-point lead, Florida. Horford has returned now for the Gators, so the very small lineup Billy Donovan was using wasn't out there very long. Remember, Horford's got 2 fouls,
and they need to go to Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
Willie Cauley-Stein's got Jacob Kurtz on him. They'll get the ball inside.
Instead, it's Aaron Harrison knocking down a 3.
When Kentucky plays inside out, they are really difficult to beat because you got to pack it in.
And a whistle before the shot, and another foul going against Kentucky.
Kentucky has not played its best, and Florida has really played very well. It's a one-possession game. When you're on the road, you just have to keep plugging, keep playing. And that goes for Florida, too.
Again, the switch. Cauley-Stein now on Carter. Carter for 3. And the foul going on Andrew Harrison. Got a bit of an armbar out in front of Jacob Kurtz. Both teams over the limit now. And the second on Andrew Harrison.
The shot goes up, Harrison boxes out, and that is not much of a call. That's frankly ridiculous. With all the bumping and grinding on a block out, that's going to be the call. You need 3 green berets to referee this game. This has been a fight.
Kurtz at the line. Jay, do you remember a manager turning into as prominent a player as Jacob Kurtz has been for Florida this year?
No, I don't. And Jacob Kurtz has done a really good job. He's a trustworthy player that you put in the game. He's not going to make mistakes. He plays his tail off. He's in the right spot. But I think if you're a guy like Chris Walker, you got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, wait a minute now. You got a former manager who's playing more minutes than I am. I got to do something here.
Yeah, the McDonald's All-American's getting 15 minutes a game, and the former manager's getting 21.
Harrison and Booker running off some screens. Now they get into a horn set.
Shot clock's at 3. And that'll be another turnover, the 7th committed by Kentucky. John Calipari's not happy. Just about everybody else in this building is right now. Florida with a 5-point lead. on the #1 Kentucky Wildcats. 7.5 to go in the first half here in Gainesville. All right, Chris, thank you. A very busy Saturday in the NCAA, and Herb McGee, Division II coach, Philadelphia University. Congratulations to him picking up win number 1,000. Kyle Collinsworth sets a D1 record with his 5th triple-double of the season, and 3 ranked teams lose to unranked teams. Arizona losing to Arizona State, Kansas losing at Oklahoma State, and VCU losing to St. Bonaventure.
Well, VCU playing extremely shorthanded, missing not only Deontay Weber, but Travion Graham. But how about Kansas? They had a really good first half, scored efficiently. In the second half, they could barely score at all. I think they only had 21 points. They turned the ball over 18 times. They gave up a lot of layups in transition to Oklahoma State to lose that game on the road. And a legit court storming after the game for Oklahoma State.
For people who may just be tuning in, what's Florida done well so far in this game?
They have defended very well. I mean, they're giving up 50% from the field, but they've turned over Kentucky 7 times, and they've done a very nice job getting to the rim on offense. And Michael Frazier is now 3 of 3 in this game. He's a scorer, and he's got that look in his eye. Things are going well for him, and he is confident.
They press again. Kentucky gets it over.
Well, Kentucky is not a great half-court offensive team. They want to go. They want to play through the post, and they're shooting 50%. It's the turnovers right now that are bothering Kentucky. Can't pick up the ball unless you're ready to pass it. You need to keep your dribble.
Another good defensive stand here by the Gators. Shot clock down to 3. Euless, the prayer. And it's another shot clock violation as the ball didn't touch the rim.
Well, Kentucky looks confused on offense, and you give all the credit to Florida's half-court defense.
Shannon, what do you have?
Well, pregame Coach Calipari talked about energy. Look at him right now. He is putting a lot of energy into this game. He is sweating. He told his guys in that huddle he's shocked that they're actually in this game. He looked at all of them and said, we have really good players who just aren't making plays.
Well, they can play with energy. They need poise, too, and right now they don't have a lot of poise on the offensive end.
Horford giving Cauley-Stein every move he's got. It is out of bounds, and it's Florida ball.
One guy that is playing his tail off for Kentucky is Karl Anthony Towns. And on the offensive end, I think he needs to touch the ball a little bit more. He's not a passer when he gets it, but he is a scorer.
And now he'll come out, and Dakari Johnson will take his place. Remember, Kentucky not quite as deep. Poitras, as you know, out for the season. Lyles out for the 3rd game in a row with an undisclosed illness. Perhaps back on Tuesday, so it's not straight platoons anymore. It's not always 5 for 5. Horford for 3. He has been shooting a lot more threes this year than he did at Michigan. That's his 36th attempt of the year. He's made 8.
Well, he's not the type of guy that's going to go down in the low post and score.
Cauley-Stein too strong. Horford the rebound.
Well, that's what Florida wants to do. If the ball goes into the post, keep them a step off the paint if you can, and then make them shoot over the top.
A turnover and a look ahead for Booker, who will lay it in.
Booker just tried to keep Casey Hill on his outside shoulder so that he'd get all the way to the basket.
Frazier got the switch, and we've got a Florida foul.
They call a foul or timeout?
Oh, timeout, I'm sorry. A timeout called here in Gainesville.
30-second timeout Florida Gators, 30-second time.
And we're back, and it was a timeout called by Billy Donovan, and the reason is that Michael Frazier came up limping, so Billy Donovan wanted to get him out of there. Let's take a look and see what we can see. He had the ball.
That was before the
whistle had already blown. Yeah, the timeout had already been called by the time he took that shot, but Billy Donovan must have seen him limping before the ball even came to him. And he's had a big night so far, and Frazier limping off toward the locker room. And a big loss for the Gators,
especially given the start that Michael Frazier got off to, and with the numbers he's capable of putting up. You mentioned last year against South Carolina, he had 37 in a game. He had 27 against Ole Miss earlier this year, went 6 of 8 from 3, just coming off a 21-point game against Vanderbilt. He can get hot and stay hot. Another switch, Willie Cauley-Stein on Casey Hill. And Casey Hill has to take advantage of that switch. Now Ulis has switched back. He can't give that ball up. He's got to take advantage of the switch.
Hill has it stripped, gets it back, and lays it in. Booker, yes.
See, Dan, Kentucky's so much better when they push the ball up the floor and try to beat the defense down the floor. Why grind it out 5-on-5 when you've got so much depth and athleticism and you're bigger? Get it down the floor and get it to the ring.
Finney Smith misses the three, and the long rebound to Hawkins.
A little bit early for that. Make that defense work and make it move. Not a bad shot, but he could have done better.
Kentucky got the first basket of the game. There's their first lob of the night as Cauley-Stein slams it home. They're back within 4. Carter's open. And Cauley-Stein down with a rebound at the other end. Kentucky running again. Yeah. Ricari Johnson with Kentucky turnover number 10.
Well, Ricari Johnson walked with it, but you like the way Kentucky's getting the ball down the floor. You know, he wasn't doing that kind of running last year. Much more mobile. But Kentucky's a much better team when they're pushing the tempo.
And whatever was bothering Frazier is minor enough that he can come back into the game.
Now with Marcus Lee in the ball game, Kentucky oftentimes will press. He's face guarding. He has some length. He can move. He's mobile.
Mismatch. Finney Smith guarded by Ulis, but they turn it over.
Well, how about that job by Tyler Ulis? He's tiny in the post against Dorian Finney-Smith, but he just comes around the outside, knocks it away with his right hand. He wouldn't let Finney-Smith get into his body and pin him down there. That's really a great job by Tyler Ulis.
Chioza staying with him.
And back into this horn set.
Towns, they kick it right back out. Booker, short. And now a fresh 35 after the deflection for Kentucky.
Well, Booker's got a lot of game. Comes off screens. He can hit a mid-range shot. He's got tremendous range. He's really improved as a defender.
Towns from the baseline. Yes.
He really slipped that screen instead of setting it. And when you've got a 7-footer that can play pick and pop, you got yourself a player. Karl Anthony Towns over a 40-minute stretch, per 40 minutes, averaging over 12 rebounds a game.
Finney Smith. And Florida's cooled off from beyond the arc, and now Kentucky with a chance to tie or take the lead.
Lee did a nice job of flying at Dorian Finney-Smith to put a little bit of pressure on that shot. Let's see if Kentucky tries to get it inside the Towns.
The only lead Kentucky's had in this game was at 2-0. Towns for 3.
I don't know why he would settle for that shot.
It's just the 8th attempt of the season from three-point range for Towns. He's made 2 of them. Carter behind the back, between the legs, and it was touched by Booker, so it will be Florida ball when we come back. Wildcats making a bit of a run. They've got it down to 2.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Wendy's, proud sponsor of the 2015 John R. Wooden Men's Player of the Year Award, and Bank of America.
Getting the Sports Center at 7 Eastern, live from Storrs, Connecticut. Some of the numbers for the top 2 ranked teams in women's college basketball. This is the 54th all-time matchup of number 1 versus number 2. And how about Connecticut's been in 19 of the previous 53. Can they hand South Carolina their first loss of the season? The only previous South Carolina 1-2 matchup was a loss to Louisiana Tech. some 33 years ago. Meanwhile, here with the O-Dome in Gainesville, Florida is still leading, but Kentucky is making a run, and they are back within 2.
Well, Kentucky has not turned it over quite as much over the last 5 minutes. They do have 10 turnovers overall in the first half, but they've shot 50%, 11 of 22. And they've just been hanging in there. They're continuing to keep plugging. And that's what you have to do on the road. Florida got off to a great start. This is a 40-minute game. And Kentucky's got the horses here.
Frazier, a big night so far. Hill's played well as well, and that's a rejection for Towns. Desperation shot and a shot clock violation on the Gators.
A step-up screen on the right side, and Karl Anthony Towns just waiting for Casey Hill there. Stepping back and then waiting till he leaves the floor and using those long arms and good timing to block that shot. The leading shot blocker for this Kentucky team. Karl Anthony Towns is having quite a game.
2.3 blocks per game in 20 minutes per game for Towns. Booker.
What a rebound. What a rebound.
And a foul on the Gators.
Looks like it went Horford.
Yeah, and it's the third on John Horford. Billy Donovan almost got through about 15 minutes of action without either Walker or Horford picking up his third, but Horford called for one here.
And that's where Kentucky wears on it. These are like body blows in a prize fight. You know, they're going to pick up fouls, go to the free throw line. You got to block them out. You got to keep them out of the lane for the duck-ins. I mean, they're in the lane all the time. They've got 2 big guys. They play 3 around 2, 3 on the perimeter, 2 inside, and they just wear you down.
Towns also a very good free throw shooter, 76%. And a guy that just about every mock draft, every NBA mock draft you can find, projects him as a top 5 pick.
He's so skilled as a player. Good passer, although he doesn't have a lot of assists. He's got great hands, and that rebound was illustrative of that. He went after it with both hands and got it right over John Horford, and Horford wound up fouling him as a result.
8-0 run Kentucky back to a tie. Hawkins dogging Chioza. Finney-Smith. Pass bounced away. Kentucky ball.
A great job by Willie Cauley-Stein not to foul there. Dorian Finney-Smith had the angle, but he just guided him down to the baseline instead of trying to foul him.
Towns begging for the ball. Horford's still in there, and he's guarding him.
Well, this is where you got to go to Karl Anthony Towns. Cauley-Stein is not a scorer. You'd rather have him as the offensive rebounder. Don't let the clock go down too low.
Down to 4. Hawkins from the corner. Long rebound taken by Frazier. And they can basically hold if they choose to. Never mind. And now they can hold as Frazier's shoe has come off. And he throws it out of bounds. He's playing with one shoe. Florida gets it back. I don't know if Billy Donovan knows this. Frazier's playing with one shoe. And Chioza says to heck with holding for the last shot.
Go after Frazier. Shoeless Michael Frazier. Make him guard you with one-to-one shoe on.
Ulis. And the first half will come to a close with the Gators leading by 2.
Maybe that's a glass slipper he's wearing.
I'll tell you, he fired that thing out of bounds with pretty good velocity. Maybe this is the problem he was having earlier.
You know, you got too many pairs of shoes. When you're so cavalier about it, you just throw it off the floor. Great drive by Chioza. The nice finish with the left hand off the glass.
Let's go to Shannon Spade.
Coach, you have wanted a game like this, a game where your team gets hit to see how they respond. What do you think?
Well, we had some guys who are playmakers for us not make one play offensively in the first half. You can't play that way. Get in and make play. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. Play with confidence. We need this. This is good for us. But they're also inside muscling us. We're getting beat to balls, beat to rebounds. This is perfect. Let's see what happens in the second half.
Why do you think they're not playing as aggressive as they usually do?
No, we're playing okay. It's Florida's playing great. Making shots. They're coming up with balls. They're beating us to some free ones. We got to go get those.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, Shannon, thank you. Coming up in the Mazda halftime report, a look at Virginia's win over Louisville a little bit earlier tonight, and upsets in the Pac-12 and the Big 12 as Arizona and Kansas both suffer defeats. Good one here in Gainesville. Gators leading by 2. Reese Davis, Jay Williams, Seth Greenberg, the Mazda halftime report after these messages. Welcome back to the O-Dome here in Gainesville. Along with Jay Bill is Shannon Spake. I'm Dan Schulman. Rowdy Reptiles right behind us. Having a heck of a good time so far tonight, and why not? The underdogs up by 2 heading to the second half.
Well, Florida has played PhD, poor, hungry, and driven. They're playing without all their shoes on in the first half. But I think Kentucky is stronger inside. Are they going to be disciplined enough to get the ball into the paint and attack where they've got strength? And Florida's done a great job, Dan, of setting ball screens, moving those big guys around on the floor and getting mismatches, and then driving those and getting into the paint. The question is, can they keep it up, and can they knock down open perimeter shots when they get them?
10 turnovers, a big problem in the first half for the Cats. Let's check in now with Shannon.
Well, Dan, on Thursday, this Florida Gators team, they had a players-only meeting. Dorian Finney-Smith told me they talked about getting their swag back, playing with more energy. Billy Donovan told me he absolutely saw that in the first half, but he is a little concerned. He said Kentucky is 1 of 9 from the free throw line. They have 10 turnovers, and we're still only up by 2 points. Energy is going to be key for his guys in this second half.
All right, Shannon, thank you. One change for each team from the starting lineup at the outset of the game. Tyler Ulis starts the second half for Kentucky instead of Andrew Harrison. Actually, Devin Booker is in there as well instead of Dominique Hawkins. And Jacob Kurtz will start the second half for Florida instead of John Horford. Florida goes zone, and Kentucky picks it apart.
Well, Devin Booker went right around a little screen by Karl Anthony Towns, got right to the rim. Just a breakdown defensively by Florida to start the second half.
Carter's open. Misses the line drive 3. Ripping down the rebound is Towns.
Ulis in the second half to run the team. Andrew Harrison, who was coming off one of his best games. He had 23 points in Kentucky's last ball game against Georgia. Also had 7 assists. Haven't scored yet in this one.
Cauley-Stein, strong move, can't finish. And Finney-Smith down for the rebound for the Gators.
Cauley-Stein is not going to get any closer to the basket. Those are plays that he has got to finish. He's got to score, get fouled, or both. He can't come away with nothing.
Michael Frazier, a hot first half for Florida, 10 points, including a couple of threes. Finney-Smith wide open. The 4th 3 of the night for Florida. Kentucky's only got 1.
That's just beautiful pick-and-pop basketball. Setting the ball screen. And Willie Cauley-Stein late getting there because he's got to worry about the drive and containing the ball.
Kurtz the foul, his second.
Dorian Finney-Smith steps up here, a little step-up ball screen, and then steps out. Pick and pop. And he was ready to shoot as he caught it. Both he and Michael Frazier have got to lead this team in scoring. Eli Carter can get into the act as well, but it's pretty clear that if Florida's going to put points on the board, it's got to be Dorian Finney-Smith as a right-hand driver, and Michael Frazier have to do it.
Ulis finds Cauley-Stein off to Towns, who lays it in. You said it several times during the first half. They could get the ball into him inside even more than they had to.
They have to get it into. He's their best low post scorer. He and Dakari Johnson. And Willie Cauley-Stein probably should have gone up with that. He was able to drop it off, but if Florida had been more aggressive, they could have knocked that away.
Kurtz hits the deck, and it is out of bounds to Kentucky. A missed opportunity there for the Gators.
Well, a nice pass inside to Willie Cauley-Stein here. And instead of going up, and he probably figured he might charge over Jacob Kurtz, I still think he needs to go up and finish that. He needs to be a more aggressive basketball player on the offensive end.
Kentucky has led for only 20 seconds in this game. Kurtz discarded by Towns. Kurtz giving up just a ton of size in that matchup. Towns will not take it. Now he will, and he'll knock it down to put the Cats on top.
Karl Anthony Towns has a lot of ability. And he's got that look on his face. He does not look like a freshman in this atmosphere. In fact, he looks like the most mature player in blue.
John Horford getting ready to check back in for Florida.
Two-man game now with Carter and Dorian Finney-Smith, and he took Harrison right down into the post.
Carter, strong drive. right into the chest of his defender.
Well, before Carter left Rutgers, he broke his leg badly. And that leg did not heal properly. He is still battling that injury. But he is a fearless player. I thought he was an outstanding guard at Rutgers. Good pass.
Aaron Harrison knocks down the wide open three.
But Karl Anthony Towns has been a playmaker for Kentucky in this game. Putting it on the deck, finding open people.
Credited with his second assist of the night. Hill. And could not finish the layup. And Ulis comes up with it for Kentucky. Well, if you're Florida, you've got to take advantage of your opportunities, and they missed one there.
Well, Hill was worried about a block shot. And he heard footsteps, but you just got to go up strong. If they block your shot, so what? You got to go up to finish a play.
Cauley-Stein, interior pass. Towns with a left hand, no. Rebound, Florida.
Nice quick move. Saw the double team, turned away from it. The double team came to his left shoulder, and he turned over his right.
Carter looking for Kurtz. Still plenty of time for the Gators.
Familiar play right here for Florida. They run it a lot.
And they run it well. Gators back on top after the three by Carter.
They basically just swing the wings from one side to the other. Towns is the one with the offensive advantage.
Aaron Harrison's feeling it here in the second half.
Well, he's really improved his pull-up game from last year to this.
And although a timeout was coming in the next whistle, Billy Donovan will use one here, a long stretch without a whistle.
Well, Karl Anthony Towns puts the ball on the deck and hits Aaron Harrison, who's ready to shoot from deep, and then he can pull up as well.
Tonight's game is part of ESPN's Journey to the Tourney, presented by Sonic, a season-long spotlight on games that will impact the tournament. Well, John Calipari's Wildcats have had some close calls this year, including a couple of games in conference. January the 6th against Ole Miss. A couple of big free throws for Aaron Harrison late. Devin Booker banks one in. And then in overtime, a basket to give Kentucky an 89-86 win. In January the 10th, another close call. This one went double overtime at Texas A&M, but a huge three in the second OT by Tyler Ulis, and Kentucky survives. And you said it earlier, they're going to get everybody's best shot. Everybody wants to knock off number one, and even by the historic standards of the Kentucky basketball program, this has been a pretty special season so far.
Well, they've been excellent on the defensive end. This team has a lot of talent. They've got a lot of depth, although that depth has been challenged, losing Alex Poitras for the season with a torn ACL, and also Trey Lyles out for his third straight game with an illness. And they expect Lyles back relatively soon. They're not sure whether he's going to play Tuesday night. He didn't make this trip. And Kentucky, with Marcus Lee in the ballgame, likes to put on full court pressure.
Multiple subs for both teams because that timeout was a called one, the first one of the second half. And we haven't had the under 16 yet. The next whistle will send us back to another timeout, the media timeout. And there it is right there. So a very brief stretch of play and a timeout here in Gainesville. And a look at Billy Donovan's coaching history after playing at Providence. Became an assistant coach under Rick Pitino at Kentucky, then took over at Marshall for a couple of years before coming to Gainesville back in 1996. Since he became the head coach of the Florida Gators, there have been 31 coaching changes in the SEC. He's had opportunities to move on. He has decided to stay. 2 national championships, SEC Coach of the Year 3 of the last 4 years. Final Fours, Elite Eights, you name it, he's done it.
Well, one of the great coaches in the game, and a certain Naismith Hall of Famer, as is John Calipari. But when he was at Marshall, I did one of his games. I had just gotten started in broadcasting. Delaware was at Marshall. Mike Bray's coaching Delaware, Billy Donovan at Marshall. The game was on at midnight.
And look at how all three of you have grown from that. Look at where you all are now.
I was worried about my career. Marshall at midnight. I was in Huntington, West Virginia. You're not supposed to be out after dark.
It's a 1-point lead for Kentucky's Billy Donovan prowls the sideline here with the O-Dome. Great start for Florida. Kentucky made a run near the end of the first half. There have only been 4 Wildcats who have scored in this game. The scoring's been very concentrated for Kentucky as Chiozza looks for some help.
You know, the one thing down that Florida struggles with, they can't throw it to anybody in the post. You know, they can't get a post touch and a score down there.
Robinson just using his athleticism to get the rebound and then just kind of threw it to an open corner over to the Florida bench.
You know, when you think about the luxury that Florida had last year of having so many older players, but also having a guy like Patrick Young inside, it was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. He could protect the rim, but he could also duck in hard and get you some baskets down in the post. You could play through the post at times. There's really nobody this year that Florida has that they can post up and put any pressure on the rim. So everything's got to be out in the perimeter. You've got to manufacture things getting to the rim, and as a result, they lose the free throw battle most often.
Wow. Aaron Harrison having himself some kind of a second half.
The baseline runner, and that is one confident shooter right now. And we've seen Aaron Harrison, when he's in that groove, can knock down a lot of shots, and he knocks down big shots.
Funny, isn't it? Tuesday against Georgia, Andrew has a great game. Aaron does virtually nothing. And tonight, it's almost the reverse. Lob inside, Horford. First points of the night for John Horford.
Bakari Johnson's the post guy. They want to touch it.
Horford guarding him. Horford's got 3 fouls. To the hot hand. Aaron Harrison the miss. Chiozza taps it to his teammate.
Boy, smart play. It looked like Johnson was going to get that, but Chiozza tapped it away.
Finney Smith in attack mode. Now the kick. Robinson the shot fake. Extra look. Finney Smith. And we're tied. Johnson from the baseline. Rebound Gators. Chiozza. Yes! What a response by Florida.
Dan, Andrew Harrison had an opportunity to get that ball, and Chiozza beat him to it. That can be the difference between winning and losing on the road. Watch Aaron Harrison here. He's got the opportunity to get this ball, and he just runs back and still doesn't challenge. He just ran right out of the play. And on the road, that is not good enough. That ball was loose. Harrison had a chance to get it. He didn't even challenge Chris Chiozza, who got all the way to the rim.
And a 6-0 run for the Gators puts them back on top. Michael Frazier among those who's liking what he's seeing here with the O-Dome. Let's check in with Shannon Spade.
Well, Dan, Michael Frazier spent some time in the back hallway during that last time out. The athletic trainer did confirm that he has a twisted ankle. We obviously saw him limping in the first half, but we also saw him finish that first half without his shoe, so I don't think he's coming out of this game.
He certainly has a look on his face like he's not coming out of this game. Frazier with 10 points on the night. And Florida's back on top. 7.5 into the second half. Here but a rockin' O-Dome.
And Kentucky has perhaps its best offensive lineup on the floor right now. Karl Anthony Towns in the post. And you've got Aaron Harrison and Devin Booker. Got a zone right now, 2-3.
Tipped away, Florida ball. Stolen back by Andrew Harrison. Oh! Cauley-Stein with a spectacular slam.
That was Blake Griffin-esque. What a great play here by Andrew Harrison. Keeps the ball in his left hand to keep it away from Chiozza, and that is big time. I think we know what's number 1 on the top 10. My goodness.
And maybe number 2 and number 3 as well. Great look there.
That's the finest dunk by a 7-foot football wide receiver I've ever seen.
And Cauley-Stein has put Kentucky back on top. What a game with 12 minutes to go.
Devin Booker right now on Michael Frazier. He's got to trail him off every screen and run him off that three-point line.
He's trying.
Did it very well there.
Finney Smith back to Robinson. Aaron Harrison knocks it away. The 7-footer's at it again. And a foul underneath. Wildcats saying Cauley-Stein got fouled on the way up. They'll talk about that one right now, but Jay, they'll be talking about this one for a while.
Well, Kentucky struggled in the half court offensively, but the result has been they're scoring off their defense, and this is a high percentage finish. But they got it off their defense. Kentucky's defense on the road making a statement.
In Spain. The O-Dome here in Gainesville, Florida. We're back and forth they have gone in the second half. Willie Cauley-Stein with maybe the dunk of the year, certainly the dunk of the night, has given the Wildcats, the undefeated #1 Wildcats, a 1-point lead over the Gators.
Well, it's right up there for dunk of the year. John Brown of High Point might take issue with that. He's had some unbelievable dunks, but this one, when you go up, get fouled by a pretty good athlete, and Devin Robinson going up to challenge, and that's the kind of dunk that Blake Griffin has, where he just throws it into the basket from distance. Well, Aaron Harrison has come out and had a terrific second half.
The Wildcats still have only 4 players who have scored for them tonight. Towns with 15, Aaron Harrison 13, and make it 14. Booker 10 and Cauley-Stein 7. Only 4 players have scored for Kentucky.
If those 4 keep scoring, they'll be fine. But what they have to do is have all 5 guys defend. They have defended very well over the last few possessions, gotten the lead back.
Carter had Horford earlier than he found him. Horford throws up a prayer, and it will be Kentucky ball.
It was off of Dorian Finney-Smith, who went up with his left hand and knocked it out. Now Florida going to put on full court pressure, and Kentucky's got to attack this pressure to score.
A steal and a finish for Finney-Smith.
Aaron Harrison just loose with the ball. It took it right away from him.
Booker handling now.
This press got Florida back into the game with a chance to win at Vanderbilt.
Cauley-Stein picks it off to Aaron Harrison. Tyler Ulis is going to check into the game. John Calipari wants to get him in there against this pressure. Andrew Harrison. Towns. The kick. Aaron Harrison. Not this time. And Carter with a great rebound. Florida can go back on top.
We've got to get Dorian Finney-Smith involved.
Hill out of control on the drive.
Oh, what a bad decision by Casey Hill. Just no feel.
Now ball's loose, thrown away, and a foul going against the Gators on Carter.
And that ball about to go backcourt could have been picked off. And Kentucky bailed out of a bad situation by Eli Carter, just trying to be aggressive.
The Gators are 2-10 all-time, Jay, against #1. All 10 of the losses have been to Kentucky. The 2 wins were in tournament games over Duke and over Ohio State in the national championship game. Florida has never beaten a top-ranked Wildcats team. Nice pass. Cauley-Stein from Towns, and Towns with his 3rd assist of the night.
Well, he has really passed well. That double team comes post to post. Came to the high side. He just threw right over it one-handed.
Hill driving again, and this time he lays it in right over the outstretched arms of Towns.
A nice bounce back by Casey Hill. Made such a bad play the possession before. And instead of retreating, he went right after it. Nice turnout by Aaron Harrison. And Chiozza just had to grab him. Went down, could have gone either way. Was just going to put his head under the rim and turn back out.
15 foul committed by Florida, just one for Kentucky this half.
Ball goes inside to Karl-Anthony Towns. Here comes the double team and the sweet pass over the shoulder to a cutting Willie Cauley-Stein.
They're just so big they can see over the defense so easily.
And there wasn't a rotation. You got to rotate over and put your body in front. Now it's easy to say, it's hard to do because oftentimes that's a guard doing it, but nobody rotated at all.
Towns into Cauley-Stein. And we're going to have a foul call going against Alex Murphy. And 2 free throws coming for Cauley-Stein.
Thought that might have been a goaltender.
Yeah, I thought so too.
The ball looked like it was coming down to me. Karl-Anthony Towns has made an impact on this game as a scorer. He's defended well, but he's also made an impact as a passer.
Cauley-Stein using every inch of the rim. Towns tonight, 15 points. He's made all 5 of his free throws. 5 rebounds. We still see him with only 2 assists. He should have at least 3, and it feels like even more than that tonight.
Yeah, he's made some really good passes. Yeah. He made one good pass where one of his teammates missed a shot, but
Chris Walker's back into the game for Billy Donovan as well.
Carter got a switch. I think Florida's got to start attacking these switches. Carter can't get by him. How about that defense by Willie Cauley-Stein? I mean, how many 7-footers are going to switch out on a little guard, stay in front of him like that? Well, maybe 2. Look, Karl-Anthony Towns is doing it too.
Carter's open, misses the deep 3. That is, John Calipari's got to be thrilled with both of his big guys and what they did.
Well, he knows this team can defend. The question is, are they going to continue to improve as an offensive team? And Cal has been lamenting, hey, you know, people complain about our offense. We're top 10 in the country in offensive efficiency. I mean, we're not bad. But the issue is they score a lot off their defense. And in the half court, going 5-on-5, they're not nearly as efficient and not very efficient in 2-point range. They're very good from the 3-point line, actually, when we question their shooting.
And we're told that the officials are looking at what may have been an elbow. See if we can rustle up the video for you so we can get a look as well.
I don't know why the officials are yelling at the coaches. And I mean, call it technical on them if they're bothering them. That wasn't an elbow. That was just
Walker getting looked like a forearm under the chin of Andrew Harrison to the left of your screen.
That was a, I'm not going to say a flop, but there was a lot put into that.
Embellishment.
Yeah, the referees didn't call anything, so there's nothing there. They didn't call anything, and there's no elbow, so there's nothing to be done there. That's a play on, move on. You know, these referees do a great job, and this is a terrific crew that's done multiple Final Fours. I do think that we should start treating the monitor like a streaker running out on the field in football. We just shouldn't show it. I don't think they'd stay there as long as they weren't on television.
And it looks like they agree with your assessment. It is a no call and a play on. So now they'll blow the whistle, try to get the teams back on the court, keep this moving, keep the momentum going here on what's been a great night in Gainesville. Florida has led most of the night, but number 1 Kentucky's got a 3-point lead in the ball right now. Eulis, the Harrison twins, Towns, and Cauley-Stein for Kentucky.
Right now, it's got to look inside to Towns or Aaron Harrison. Those are the two places where Kentucky's best scoring.
Or over the top to Towns.
That was a little cross screen action. Then they were going to get a down screen, but instead they just lobbed it up. Because Towns didn't come off the screen. He read it well and just stayed for the lob.
It's the biggest lead that Kentucky's had tonight. Back down to 3. Terrific drive by Carter.
I'm not sure what Andrew Harrison was doing there. It didn't stay between Carter and the basket. It's like he was forcing him to the rim. Now they're going to run Harrison off. Both big guys.
Walker knocks it out of bounds. Kentucky will retain possession with 11 to shoot when we come back. Now the Cauley-Stein dunk was impressive as anything a little bit earlier. The lob to Towns, a close second here tonight, Jim.
Karl-Anthony Towns has had a great game, and for a freshman to go on the road and perform at this level, a little low cross, but he steps back for the easy lob and jam. Beautiful basketball.
Lead right now at the Events Center. Back out to Florida.
All right, Christian, here a three-point lead for #1 Kentucky. They have been pushed from the moment this game began by the Gators, but one thing they've really done a lot better in the second half, they haven't turned the ball over as much. They turned it over 10 times in the first half, Jay, just twice here in the second half.
And Florida has not gotten anything in the second half out of Michael Frazier. He's only played 6 minutes, has not scored in the second half. Great play for Aaron Harrison, who came off that little down screen ready to shoot.
Got 17 points in 18 minutes tonight. 12 of the 17 here in the second half.
Oh, what a switch by Willie Cauley-Stein. Now the switch back. Aaron Harrison's got him. What a luxury to have a center 7 feet that can switch off on a point guard and shut him down.
And he's done it repeatedly tonight. Carter's wide open. And it's Kentucky ball. Carter's now 1 for 7 from three-point range.
Kentucky's going to look to get the ball inside here. There it is. There he's wide open. And Karl-Anthony Towns had to get it there. That's their punch action. He was wide open on ball reversal.
Aaron Harrison with the shot clock at 2. And a turnover. Frazier remains on the bench. Shannon talked about an ankle issue a little bit earlier. Still sitting down on the bench right now for Florida.
Well, that's got to be it, because he was scoring in the first half. Had 10 points in the first half. Second half, he's only played 6 minutes, hasn't put up a point. And it's going to be awfully difficult for Florida to put up enough points with their leading scorer on the bench in the second half.
Foul away from the ball and going against Marcus Lee. You look at the lineup right now for Florida. Finney Smith, I guess, would be the go-to guy offensively if you had to pick one.
There's no question. He and Eli Carter. And then if Casey Hill can put the ball on the deck off a ball screen and get to the rim, you know, he's not a shooter, either pull up or from three. He's only made 6 threes all year long. Well, there was nowhere to go on Willie Cauley-Stein.
Chiosa wants a screen.
You don't have to worry about Chris Walker on the perimeter if he catches it.
Hill got the switch and got by Cauley-Stein.
That's where Casey Hill's at his best, going downhill off the ball screen.
Kentucky turns it over.
And Andrew Harrison didn't wind up making a play, got bumped, and slow getting back in transition. Hanging his head a little bit. He needs to fight through this.
Devin Booker may be taking him out at the next opportunity. Hill and draws the foul on Towns.
Casey Hill has really attacked. Coming off a ball screen on the side, gets a mismatch, crosses over, almost lost it, and then scores with his right hand over Willie Cauley-Stein. Stein gave him the angle, or Hill took the angle from him. And then again goes to the rim. Now, you know he's not going to shoot it. He's not a big-time perimeter shooter, so you have to play him for the drive, but he is quick. You let him get downhill, he can get to the rim.
Horford in for Florida, Walker out, Booker in for Kentucky, Andrew Harrison out.
One thing Casey Hill needs to do is get into the gym and work on his free throw shooting. He's got to be more reliable as a point guard with the ball in your hands in close games. You got to be more reliable from the line than he is.
2 big misses. 63% shooter on the season. He's frustrated. You can see it in his face, and he almost slapped his hands together, but now turning his attention to defense.
Dorian Finney-Smith not even guarding Willie Cauley-Stein.
Towns the kick. Booker closed off there by Carter. Shot clock under 10. Booker's got to create.
Wow.
And he got the bounce.
Hit the heel of the rim and it bounced in.
With the shot clock running down. Hill driving again, fouled again. And Booker appears to be injured. He is reaching for the back of his left leg.
Might be cramping up a bit.
Andrew Harrison's getting ready to come back in.
And Casey Hill has taken advantage of Kentucky in transition off of some ball screens. And he has been getting to the rim.
Shannon, what do you got?
Well, Devin Booker, I was watching him on the bench a few minutes ago, and they were trying to work out a cramp in his leg. He was eating some orange slices and getting some Gatorade, as you see him walking back over there right now.
All right, Shannon, thank you.
It's good he's getting Gatorade. It was invented here at the University of Florida. Might be some conspiracy to give him cramps.
Hill makes a pair. Back to a three-point game. Billy Donovan will use a timeout.
No animals were harmed in the making of Gatorade.
Well, the Gators came into the year ranked as the number 7 team in the country. They lost a lot from a Final Four team a year ago. 4 really good seniors moving on. And then really from the outset, we saw them early down in the Bahamas. It just didn't go that well. They started the year 3-4, dropped out of the rankings. They're 5-4 in an SEC that is not a great SEC. Just 2-4 in their last 6 games, coming off a loss to Vanderbilt this week.
And 1-7 against teams ranked in the top 50 of ESPN's Basketball Power Index. And there are a number of teams that have been historically great programs that are struggling. Michigan struggling with injury after injury. UConn lost a great deal off its national championship team, most notably Shabazz Napier, but also DeAndre Daniels, their pick and pop big guy. And UCLA, a team that lost 3 players in the first round of last year's NBA draft. Some of the big shots having some issues, but you mentioned those 4 seniors that Florida lost. That was a lot to lose. Scotty Wilbekin, the SEC Player of the Year. We mentioned Patrick Young, Casey Prather, who came as long away as anybody to be an outstanding player in this Florida program. Will you get one of the better better defenders that they've played here?
Nice steal by Chiozza.
Good pass.
Hill with Cauley-Stein on him again. Not on a switch, just the way they manned up as Kentucky tried to get back in transition.
Now go with a ball screen.
Now it's Towns on him. 4 minutes to go.
There's a lot of time left.
Dangerous pass and a foul on Ulis. Timeout on the floor. Florida ball down by 3. 3:55 to go. Spectacular Town, a guy who's already dealt with injuries. We hope Anthony Davis is okay. One of the 15 first-round picks that John Calipari has had at Kentucky in just 5 prior years at Kentucky. And obviously in this group, whether it's Towns or Cauley-Stein or maybe some others, there are more first-round picks coming. And another great class coming in. Paul Biancardi ranking Kentucky as having the #1 incoming class next year. By the way, not the only SEC school with a good class. Florida's ranked #9. Looks like there are a lot of good players coming in. LSU's got a great class coming in.
A terrific class led by Ben Simmons, the #1 player in the country. Good job by Kentucky handling that screen for the screener action that Florida ran.
Chiozza.
Well, you are not going to get a better look off the side ball screen. After all that action around the side ball screen, Chiozza was wide open.
Andrew Harrison off to Aaron. Towns with a great rebound between a couple of defenders. Muscles it out to Cauley-Stein, who draws the foul. Karl Anthony Towns came to play tonight.
He's been the best player on the floor. I mean, he's done a little bit of everything. He has scored. He's got 17 points. He has rebounded, and he's going after rebounds with both hands. just goes right over the top. Yet another time over John Horford. And again has the presence to make a good pass to an open teammate.
Booker's on the bench for Kentucky. Frazier still out for Florida. Shannon, what do you hear?
Well, Danny's fought through so much tonight. We've already talked about that ankle. The team did confirm that he is done for the night because of the ankle. 10 points for Frazier in this game.
Big loss, to say the least. If you saw the first half, you saw evidence of that. A couple of big free throws for Cauley-Stein, and then a foul. That is the second on Cauley-Stein and the 6th team foul on Kentucky.
Now, unless that was the automatic 2 hands on the ball handler, there was very little contact there. Well, maybe he had both hands on just for a split second. But it doesn't matter when you've got 2 hands. It doesn't matter whether the contact, even incidental contact with 2 hands, is an automatic.
Let's see what kind of a response the Gators have. Kentucky's lead up to 5. Florida has led more than Kentucky has. Florida led almost the entire first half. There's the response they're looking for here in Gainesville as Finney-Smith buries a 3.
Just that high ball screen caused Willie Cauley-Stein to shrink in. That's a foul. That was a smart play by Aaron Harrison. Chiozza was trying to keep him from going back out where he came and force him out the other side. And I think what Harrison did was just grab the arm of Chiozza and made it look like he was fouling him. And that's what the smart offensive players do.
And it's 1-1 for Aaron Harrison, who's been a monster here in the second half.
Well, Aaron Harrison's a really good shooter. He's a streaky shooter. But when he is hitting, and he's made so many big-time shots for Kentucky, especially last year. I mean, it seemed like every week he was making a game winner against Michigan, against Louisville, against Wisconsin. It was remarkable the run he was on of game winners.
Lee in for Towns. And how about Kentucky, Jay? 14 for 14 from the free throw line.
Well, they've knocked their free throws in, and they've shot a very good percentage in this second half. We talk about the fact that this may not be the best of offensive teams, and their offense is nowhere near as good as their defense. That's how good their defense is. But you know what? Their offense has been pretty darn good in this game. And it's not easy to play good offense on the road.
Carter off the glass and good. They won't go away.
Carter went to the basket, lofted it up. Looked like there was a bit of contact on his hand when he let it go. Went uncalled, and he's still able to finish it. I mean, I don't know. Just because the ball's released doesn't mean you can't foul a shooter. It happens all the time with three-point shooters. They call it all the time. The guy got fouled. They didn't call it.
Now Kentucky on the pursuit of perfection here tonight, and Monday night the pursuit of perfection continues on the women's side as South Carolina, ranked #1 in the nation, takes on #2 UConn. Monday night, 8 Eastern on ESPN2. One unbeaten on the men's side, Kentucky. 2 on the women's side, South Carolina and Princeton. A look at the upcoming schedules, including a very big game Tuesday night at LSU for Kentucky. But of course, we don't know yet whether they'll be unbeaten heading into that one. We got 2:14 to go in this one, and it's a 2-point game.
Well, you have to think Kentucky's going to be looking to Aaron Harrison and Karl Anthony Towns as their 2 best scoring options. Trying to get a 2-man game with Aaron Harrison and Willie Cauley-Stein.
Andrew Harrison. Offensive foul.
That's a flop is what that is. That's a bad call. That is a flop. There is no way that any human being can generate the kind of force to throw someone back that far. That's a flop. and the referee fell for it. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Number 4 on Andrew Harrison. He goes to the bench. Booker is back in now for Kentucky.
Now you give credit to Florida for getting the call. If the referees are going to fall for it, that's good. That's a good play to make them fall for it. But that was a flop, and they shouldn't have fallen for it.
Horford will draw the foul. Double and triple punt to try to get rid of the defender, and ends up with a trip to the free throw line.
Kentucky fouls on number 12, Carl-Anthony Towns, his third, 8 foul.
Horford will head to the line. A very good free throw shooter. 26 of 29 on the night.
At the line, John Horford will shoot 2.
Florida shooting 50% from the floor tonight. Nobody's done that against Kentucky this year. A rare miss for Horford. And if Kentucky goes on to win this game, free throw shooting is going to be one of the stories.
No question. And for Florida to shoot 50%, that's quite a performance by the Gators, because this Kentucky team holding its opponents to around 33% from the field. That's historically good defense.
Horford 26 of 29 coming in. Missed them both.
Well, it's so different when you are shooting those free throws with game pressure on you at the end of a game.
Booker back in. Towns driving, he kicks. Aaron Harrison from the baseline. Cauley-Stein. And Towns draws the foul. The size of Kentucky just too much on the interior.
Willie Cauley-Stein with the first offensive rebound off the pull-up jumper from Aaron Harrison. Just seemed a little shy when he was going up with that. He wanted to go up stronger with it. But Carl-Anthony Towns right there on the other side. And again, Danny goes after it with 2 hands.
Yep.
I mean, that's what the best rebounders do. And he's proving to be among the best rebounders. Per 40 minutes, 12.5 rebounds a game.
And the perfection continues at the line for Kentucky. Booker back out. Andrew Harrison back in.
Well, John Calipari, in this kind of game, can't go with the platoon system. He's had to play his best players as many minutes as possible.
And the freshman Towns just tied a season high with his 19th point. He has been the best player on the floor tonight.
Boy, how about that for a freshman on the road in an extraordinarily difficult environment to play in.
And Horford fouled by Towns.
What they're going to call a walk. Yep. How do you do that? That's unbelievable. That's a foul, not a walk.
Doug Shouse had a foul, and then Pat Adams overruled him.
You could tell he was running in from the backside. He was going to call that walk. I mean, he's about to have somebody crash down on his back, and they run in and call a walk. He's dribbling. He's dribbling. That's unbelievable. That is really unbelievable.
30-second timeout, Florida.
Timeout, Florida. And Billy Donovan's getting into his kids.
He's talking about getting a stop right here.
He's not looking for a moral victory in this one. He's not looking for a great effort, guys. He's looking for a W.
Well, they've had a great effort, but being close isn't good enough. And this team has a lot of growing to do. You know, this is not the most talented Florida team. They're probably under-talented. But they've shown some fight. They just need to do their best to finish it. And I'm not sure you can, coax a team through this. You got to, Billy's going to the whip right now. They're in the back stretch. And they need to make something happen. I mean, Kentucky's not going to give this away. Florida's got to take it.
Less than a minute to go. 4-point lead, Wildcats.
Gotta get it over.
And they just do, just prior to the foul by Finney-Smith. If you're looking for somebody to foul from a Florida perspective of the 5 Kentucky players on the floor, Cauley-Stein is the guy. The other 4 all shoot them really well. And again, not to belabor the point, but Kentucky is perfect tonight from the line, 16 for 16.
And Aaron Harrison, 77% from the line. Or excuse me, Andrew Harrison, 77%.
He has not scored tonight. And there's the first miss.
Well, he launched that so quickly.
Trying to work on that cramp that Booker's been dealing with for most of the second half.
The guy that's working out a cramp is going to get a cramp. He's been working that thing out for the last 25 minutes. Who's going to help him?
5-point lead. Florida needs a quick score.
Got to get into ball screen action.
Finney-Smith. Open Chioza. In and out. And a foul against Finney-Smith of the Gators. And Kentucky, they race down the floor to the foul line. Feeling pretty good about their chances right now to remain undefeated.
Boy, what a box out by Aaron Harrison on Dorian Finney-Smith. That's a 2-guard boxing out a big forward. And how much closer could Chris Chioza have been to that ball? That was in and out. Talk about heartbreak.
And they have started heading for the exits here with the O-Dome. As Kentucky inches closer to a 23-0 start. This would drop the Gators to 12-11 on the season. 5-5 in league play.
It seems like Kentucky does whatever is necessary in the situation. You know, they've been challenged and they've won all kinds of different ways.
Hill will lay it in. And Billy Donovan will use his last timeout. The NBA's on ABC tomorrow. Begins with the NBA countdown at 12:30 Eastern time, and then a doubleheader coming your way. The Clippers take on the Thunder at 1 Eastern, and then the Lakers against LeBron and the Cavs at 3:30 Eastern tomorrow on ABC. So Kentucky pushed again, and every time they get pushed hard, every time they get a battle, John Calipari says this is exactly what this team needs. This is still a very young team. Sometimes we forget how many freshmen are getting key minutes.
Well, the goal for John Calipari is to win the national championship. And obviously you can't do that right now, but you can put yourself in position to improve to accomplish that goal. But they also have the opportunity, Dan, and it's not lost on any of these guys, to do something that hadn't been done since 1976, and that's to go undefeated. So you take each game, and you don't make it a crusade, but you do everything you can to win. I mean, I think they're trying to relish this situation and enjoy it. But Calipari understands what he's got here. He's got a team that can win the title.
They've still got some tough road games coming in the SEC. They're going to LSU Tuesday night. You can see that game here on ESPN. They also still have to go to Tennessee, Mississippi State, and Georgia. Georgia's their last road regular season game. And you can see BPI gives them a pretty good chance to run the table at least in the regular season.
Well, LSU is going to be a difficult game because of the size that the Tigers can throw at you. Jarrell Martin, Jordan Mickey. Jordan Mickey is a big-time rebounder, shot blocker, scorer.
Kentucky ball. And the immediate foul on Aaron Harrison.
Florida foul is on number 1, Eli Carter, his second.
Double bonus, 2 free throws. Let's go to Shannon.
And Jay, another challenge that LSU team, the LSU game is going to really give these guys is getting home very, very late tonight after this game. It's obviously been extremely physical. So just getting up physically and mentally for that game is such a quick turnaround.
Yeah, it is tough to play these late Saturday games and have to go back and play again on Tuesday on the road. But those charters are pretty nice. they're going to get back to Lexington before we get where we're going. It's not too bad.
Booker will come out. Cauley-Stein's coming back in. Some long faces on the Gator bench right now. And the injury to Frazier certainly impacted this game. To be fair, the Wildcats were without Trey Lyles again tonight.
Well, that was a huge factor for Florida not having their top scorer in the lineup in the second half after a 10-point first half.
And that'll do it. Kentucky survives.
They answer the bell again. That's impressive. Big Blue Nation has to be impressed by how this team answers the bell.
A 9-2 run to end the game for Kentucky. Still undefeated now, 23-0 on the season. SportsCenter is next year on ESPN. For Jay Billis, Shannon Spade, and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Dan Schulman saying thanks for watching and so long from Gainesville.